let's go ahead and kick this off.
You guys are on.
And I've got, where's my official
9:03.
clock here? 9:03. Okay, I'll be calling the meeting of the Wareham Redevelopment Authority to order, 9:03 a.m. It's July 11th, 2024. Thank everybody for joining us here today. Thank you, Noah and Wareham Media, for covering today's meeting and for videotaping it for the citizens of Wareham. Could I get a roll call?
Dan Butler, Sarah Corbett,
Judith.
and Ken Buckland is missing his.
Oh, no, wait,
there he
wait.
is. Sarah
Ta-da,
Corbett.
just in time.
Would you declare that a quorum is present, please?
I declare there is a quorum. Thank you, Ken. Mr. Sullivan,
Morning.
good to see you. Good morning. Resident comments, seeing no residents, there will be none today. Authority business, discussion of possible votes on final edits to the draft Wareham Village Urban Renewal Plan. Ken, I don't know if Emily's had a chance yet to incorporate the edits, do you know?
No, I haven't heard back from her yet on that request.
Okay. We'll go ahead and make that a reporting item for our meeting in August. And then, if you look at the minutes for June 27th, I attached the page that captured the edits that we made at our last meeting. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. And those are reflected in the minutes, and that's the document, I believe, Ken, that you sent on to Emily, if I'm
That's correct.
correct. Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to really important business. I understand we have an update on the WRA internship program. Mr. Buckland, what's the news?
Well, we have one of the interested interns here with us today. And
All right,
thought we might have an introduction by him to the WRA. I
Great idea.
would like to explore the contracting with Derek and Doreen and how we go about doing that. I think we do it the same way we've done the intern before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if it was approved before, let's do it again the same way.
All right, fair enough. So that should be done.
Doreen will be back next week.
and we've previously given you the authority to negotiate the terms within the limits that we appropriated or allocated, so I don't see any impediment if the town administrator and Doreen are pleased with that arrangement.
Yeah,
So,
all right, I'll take that and run with it then.
okay, and I take it this is the candidate over here, Mr. Alden
This is Connor Alden.
Connor. Welcome to the meeting, welcome to the WRA. You want to tell the group a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Connor Alden. I am recently 27 years old. I was born and raised in Wareham. Studied my undergrad semi-locally at Stonehill. Worked full-time for a craft beer distributor as a marketing associate for about 2.5 years and other internships during undergrad. And then I studied my master's program in Germany and finished recently. So I was in Germany from 2021 to 2023 and wrote and defended my master's thesis.
Were you
this
locked
past
down
fall.
during the pandemic?
No, most of the pandemic era, I guess you could call it, I spent here. I was working in Stoughton. But when I moved to Germany, it definitely felt like a lot of people here had kind of moved past it, but over there were still a lot of regulations. It was pretty strict because, I don't know, maybe because there's a lot more public transportation. But yeah, finished my Master of Arts in International Media Studies, and then moved back to work with a German consulting firm, a transportation consulting firm that was based in the US, but the mother company was German. And yeah, parted ways with them, and yeah, now I'm here.
Okay. Any questions for Connor?
Yeah, I have one, at least. What about this position interested you in the first place?
Yeah, I think that being able to contribute to the community at like the most local level is something that's very interesting to me. I think in a lot of my past work I've had, I'm not sure if there's a better word, but issues with my impact on the impact that the work that I'm doing has. So before I was working for a craft beer distributor, and the social impact that I had there was getting people inebriated. So,
Yeah.
definitely some qualms with that, and then also, yeah, with past work, it's also kind of been an issue. So being able to get involved at the local level, I think, is probably one of the main drivers. And I'm not that far from here either, so the commute is definitely a plus.
Mhm.
Do you live whereabouts, right in the neighborhood?
I live on Warren Point Road in Wareham, so past the Narrows, if you take a right, kind of towards Little Harbor,
Okay,
around that area.
okay. Sarah, any other questions?
Not at the moment, no.
No? Judith?
I studied English my whole life so far. And when I asked you the question and you answered it, I thought, oh, there's a foreign influence there, and your time spent in Europe is clearly heard in the way that you speak. Well, no, I did a thesis on the different Boston accents. So what can I tell you? So, welcome, and
It's Stoughton.
it's
The Stoughton accent.
So, when you were at Stonehill, what did you think of that education? We went from here, from Wareham High to,
I actually went to Bishopstown High
that's what I
School.
thought, yeah, okay.
So, my undergrad, my impression of the school generally is that it's very small. I think there's 5,000 students when I was attending, I'm not sure about now. And the program itself was also really small, so my major, like, it was more or less the same 30 peers that I had. So there wasn't a lot of, I don't know, different relationships to build throughout the 4 years. But honestly, I think that the professors and the courses were really great. I enjoyed them. I found them to be challenging, for sure. It's just the community, or like living on campus at Stonehill, I think maybe wasn't for me. In my final year, I ended up commuting, so
From where?
from here to Stonehill.
Yeah. Did you spend any time in Boston?
Yeah, so I had a part-time job as a video production assistant for Harvard and their sports teams. So Harvard has a contract with ESPN in Nesson, and they broadcast a lot of their high-profile games like ice hockey, football, not so high-profile for Harvard, even though they are first division. But yeah, we had a contract with them, and I was on the live production team for the games, doing a lot of replay operator specifically, so building packages during breaks, stuff like that.
Thank you.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was really great. I really enjoyed that. Especially the ice hockey. I grew up playing ice hockey, so
Okay.
that was really cool to be able to do. And building the packages, it's very fast paced, and the equipment was really cool.
That's a good plan. Cool, ice hockey.
Not all of us have had all of their coffee yet, okay? Settle down. Sorry.
You're especially perky today, Judith.
Well, I'm on a mission.
I thought I'd gotten rid of the accent by now.
No, you really haven't. It's really
I
interesting.
think it was a lot worse when I first moved back.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, Derek, do you hear it?
Lilt?
Ja, nur ein bisschen. Ich habe vor einem Jahr in Deutschland gewohnt, aber ich war 11 Jahre alt. So
Ja,
ich
stark.
kann-
Das ist schon mal was.
Ja, ich kann nicht mehr sprechen. So.
Did you get that, Judith?
You taking notes?
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Mr. Buckland, anything
No
for
questions.
Connor?
Yeah,
Mr. Sullivan?
you're not currently in school, right?
Correct. So I've completed my undergrad and graduate school.
Perfect. And just so everybody understands, an internship does not have to be associated with the school. It's like a career change type thing, and this is, I would tell you, I think it's a smart move given the lack of talent coming in, available talent. So learning into the planning and economic development, as much as it's giving back, it's also a really good career path. So I would say it's a smart move.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I think describing it as a career change would be the most accurate thing.
Yeah, so I'm all in favor.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
In your spare time, what do you do?
So I still play a lot of sports. I actually referee ice hockey. I didn't do it in Germany, but before I had left, I was refereeing at like a level 3 level, which is, the levels are basically done by a year. So I had 3 years of experience doing that, and I spend a lot of time on the weekends also refereeing. Now, no, because it's off season. Otherwise, golf. And recently, or in more recent months, securities analysis has been like a personal goal of mine, trying to learn more about that.
About what now?
Securities analysis. trying to,
Securities,
like,
oh, okay.
You're trying to do like a CFA program or something?
I've actually been looking at the CFP program for a very long time, but I'm more like years, and I'm more or less waiting for the opportunity. I've seen scholarships kind of come and go. In the past, there was like an East Coast or like Boston area scholarship, where they would sponsor half the cost of the program.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now the program in total costs about $5,000. For me right now, it's just
So, what interests do you have in libraries?
in libraries. I spent a lot of time at the Wareham Free Library when I was younger. But yeah, I think it's a great public good.
Do you have an interest in joining any town boards or committees?
I would say yes.
Good. Speak with her.
We have some openings on the library board of trustees, so
Okay.
I can talk to you after the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, Connor, right?
I'm sorry.
Gotta keep an eye on you, Judith. Connor, I thought your resume was terrific. Looked like you had some great experience, particularly for some of the things that we're envisioning you might be helping Mr. Buckland with in supporting the WRA. And the master's degree program in Germany was intriguing. What was the connection there? What drew you to Germany? Do you have family connections back in Germany?
So the connection to Germany starts with my cousin who lives in Rhode Island, and he had a German foreign exchange student that he became close with. Like my cousin's family didn't sponsor him, but he got close with him through school, and I was always close with my cousin because we're very close in age. And so through him, basically, I met this young German man, and we also kind of hit it off and got pretty close. And then I ended up going to visit him in Germany for a few weeks over the summer of 2015 or 2016. And there I got to meet his whole family, and eventually him and his younger brother, who are basically all my age, came and visited my family and my cousin's family again. So we kind of try and do something like that every year or two. And then, yeah, I think what motivated me to kind of take the leap to actually move to Germany for multiple years. Yeah, I don't know, I was just like a little bit disenchanted with my job at I was working as a marketing associate with the craft beer distributor in Stoughton. And it was also kind of the pandemic time. So yeah, like I said, I was a little bit disenchanted with the job and kind of looking for other opportunities. And I found the master's program. The master's program fit very well for me because it was conducted entirely in English. And it was very relevant to my undergrad, so I studied media communications at Stonehill, and the master was international media studies, so it's really relevant. And I wasn't necessarily looking to do a master's degree at that time either, and that was really the only program that I applied to. Ended up getting accepted, and yeah, it was a nice challenge. I learned what I thought was a lot of German before I left, and when I got there, it was,
Had to learn a lot more.
Yeah, it was a very big learning curve once I got there. But yeah, I can confidently say that I'm fluent in German since then, and that the experience was very interesting in a lot of ways. Very educational, and I think since moving back, I can appreciate things here a lot more.
Oh, good, good. I don't know how much Mr. Buckland has told you about some of what we envision you potentially assisting us with, but your experience in media and your technical experience was very attractive when I saw that on your resume. We have a website that the WRA owns, Discover Wareham, for example, that it's a terrific website. It was nice when it was first built, but nobody's maintained it. And it would just take somebody with some marketing savvy, a little technical savvy, interest in our town, to really make that site sing and begin to promote Wareham in a good way for the town. So I think that's one of the things Mr. Buckland has in mind for you, and you seem to be beautifully suited for exactly that kind of project and the types of things that we've been working on here at the WRA. So I'm very pleased that you showed an interest in the internship. Thank you for applying, and I don't have any other questions.
Well, how did you find out about the program?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Through a mutual friend. So Nazi, the last name.
El Calazzo.
El Palazzi. We all know Nazi.
I believe he's on the zoning board.
Yep.
He's a close family friend and mentioned that you guys had an opening.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad
Yeah,
the
Nazi
guerrilla
came-
marketing
Nazi
worked.
came to me and said he had a person that was above the work that he was doing in the projects. And that I should talk to Connor and
Oh, great.
see about an intern.
Good. Ken, thank you for following up on that, and I'll thank Nazi next time I see him. Connor, look
Yeah,
forward to
thank
seeing
for
you in
the
action. And I don't think we have any requirement to do anything else on this, because you already have all the authority you need, Ken, to negotiate with Connor and bring him aboard. So we'll leave that in your capable hands.
All right, sounds fine.
I think the only question we'd have is, Connor, what are you looking to get out of this from us? What's the things you'd be most interested in?
It's my understanding that it would be a 10-hour-a-week job. So I'm looking to get out of it as much as I can. Obviously, right now, I think without starting the job, it's hard to say. I'm really just looking to get in, kind of optimize where I can, and yeah.
So sort of learning about planning, economic development, those
Yeah,
types of things?
those would definitely be topics that I'm interested in.
Anything about sustainability, about the future with sort of resources from having to deal with flooding, things like that, with future development, any interest in those things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to see where we can,
Oh, yeah.
where we
There are
can
lots of
max-
places.
Yeah, where we can
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
really, I'm
what
open
you
to
want,
anything
right.
and interested in a lot of things. I think maybe for me more economic topics,
Okay,
but really I'm open to anything.
all right, good, yeah. Sustainability is the new economics.
Yeah, there's a lot of economics behind that too.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
Can I stop by your office and just see his resume?
Yeah, sure.
And Connor, you mentioned 10 hours a week. Is that your limit? You only have availability for 10 hours a
That's what I
week?
told him was the average time that's spent on
Okay.
Well, he's gonna spend time being a library, board of library trustee.
yeah, that's separate from the,
No, I know, but I'm just teasing all of you,
Okay.
which of course is on tape.
All right. Connor, do you have any questions for us?
At this time, no, but I'm sure that a lot will come up as I get started.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, and
look forward to it.
welcome to your very first WRA meeting. Pressing on with the agenda, report from the Director of Planning, Mr. Buckland. How are you, sir?
Good, not a whole lot to report on, but we're proceeding with grant applications for improvements to the villages. And I'd like to report that Danny Warren, whose project at 59 Main Street is sort of an important element of downtown revitalization, is coming along, and it was approved, modification of it was approved last night by the ZBA.
What did he ask to modify?
The dumpster location. Put it in the buffer towards the adjacent property, British Landing. But apparently there's no issue there with the British Landing owners.
Well, he structured a deal for them that they couldn't say no to.
He's a good neighbor, too. He put up nice high fencing, and he even fenced off the exhausts for the kitchen that he wasn't required to do, so I can see why British Landing's, amenable to him being a neighbor.
Yeah,
Is that the only impediment now, the only speed bump to him being able to open?
no, it's not. He's got a bunch of more building issues that he has to deal with to get final approval and sign off from the building commissioner.
Okay. Has he given you any estimate, his own personal estimate of when he thinks he might be opening?
His own personal was 2 months ago, so.
It actually was a year ago.
Is he gonna make that?
At least.
Yeah, it was a year ago, actually.
No updates to that?
No,
It would not be fair of us to give that estimate.
I think one of the things that's really interesting about Danny is that the more he thinks about what he is envisioning for down there is that he broadens his scope. And that's one of the things that's pushing his, final date out. He just has this vision, which is,
Evolving.
it's an evolving mission, and when you think about what he's done and what he's taken and made out of a really dilapidated and derelict location, it's
it had to be torn
spectacular.
down.
Yeah,
It was a real mess.
yeah. So,
And he's starting to attract,
people just want him to open yesterday.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me they come down just to look at the white tugboat
Yes.
that's tied up at
And
his
you
pier.
know what? That's why it's there. He knew that.
I know.
We used to have a lightship there, but, oh well.
And, well, thanks, Ken. Thanks for the update. Anything else?
That's it for now.
Okay. Ken, thanks again for holding down the fort there in the planning office. We appreciate that. Mr. Sullivan, do you have an update?
Yes,
Member
sir.
comments, new initiatives?
On August 24th, the second annual Main Street Stroll will be happening. That's the back-to-school stroll where the kids come and think of it as almost like trick-or-treating for school supplies. So really well received last year. I think we had close to 300 kids on short notice, so we're planning for
That
more
was
this
good.
year. So just want to see if the WRA would like to be a sponsor and potentially host a stop. And I think we've got enough time to wait for the next meeting for that, if we can make an agenda item.
I think that's a really good idea. It is something that was really well received, and if we are part of the redevelopment, then we are part of what makes it interesting and wanting to be a location.
What was the genesis of this?
What do you mean?
Well, how did it start?
I started it.
Okay.
I'd seen it in another community that sort of ebbed and flowed, and I thought, especially our community where some of the families, it's tough for them to get it. And there are resources, I know that Walt's Closet does a nice job and such, but I wanted it to be fun for all the kids and nothing but happiness to be associated with it. So they're all the same, coming, having a nice, plus I thought it would be a great way to, and it's, you know, the downtown, as we're trying to revitalize,
Yeah.
I want the kids and the families interested in realizing it's a part of our town and to just be there.
Yeah,
So.
it's a great idea. Thanks for coming up with it. Appreciate it. Yeah.
And Derek, how would you envision WRA participating?
I would say we can, what I'd like to do is have a stop, and maybe they sponsor, whether it's notebooks or something, we'll come up with, we have the list of the needs, or even if you have, we start having some sort of WRA, almost, for lack of a better term, swag, if you will, if you want something like that. But also what I was thinking is the stop should have pictures of the future of Merchants Way and, you know, getting people interested. And if there's anything else we want to sponsor, maybe there's a business that isn't in the Main Street area that maybe the WRA can put out a host of businesses and say, like the Made in Wareham things. So just reminding people of everything that's available in this town.
When we've done it in the past, have we used the old train depot
I
for
was
anything?
just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got the, we try and keep everything on that side of Main Street. We had the train depot was opened up last year and people were under there. It's obviously, I mean, considering we've had 90-degree weather in June and July, I'm anticipating hot weather, and so the back end there with a nice breeze usually is the safest place if you if you don't want to have the heat issues. And then this is the week right before the kids go back to school, so it's kind of like the final, like as the swan song of the summer for them. They could be happy about going
Swan
back.
Song Festival.
Yeah.
Sorry. Judy's rubbing off on me this morning.
I was just thinking the same thing.
We thought about beforehand doing it on weekdays, but we really thought it's for the kids and the families, and that'd be the best time. I'd like to just grow it a little bit every year. And again, keep people interested and happy with Main Street and Merchants Way.
Can I
Yeah.
make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it would, like an ice cream truck that we sponsor. Because if it's gonna be hotter than, you know what.
Great
So we
idea.
already used the ice cream person down there, the Gone Country.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The WRA
Yep.
would like to sponsor that. And what I would suggest is, because I know it was a big outlay for the owner last year to put out, and they had to wait a few weeks to go through the system.
Right.
If the WRA can work with her ahead of time and pay for X amount.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
A great
you know,
idea.
And other communities, they sort of sell tickets to this, and even if it's no cost, I don't like that because I wanna be, because the way I look at it is I don't want anybody excluded because they didn't hear about it till the last minute and such. We did have a 60-something-year-old person roll up last year, and they said, "Oh, is this for your child or grandchild?" They said, "I need this stuff," and took it and walked away. And you wanna know what? Good on you. Enjoy it. We have the supplies. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, Derek. And the old train depot, as you've mentioned before, is underutilized. It's got restrooms. We could put a lot of WRA stuff in there to include promotional materials regarding the
Yeah, I
urban
think we-
renewal
We have
plan.
the two stops, there's also, I would take some of the parking on when you look into it to the left-hand side, cordon that off too, because that's part of the future of maybe that being more of activity space, less parking space for the future of Merchants Way. And starts giving people the idea that this is an underutilized spot that really could be good.
Can the ice cream people move in, I mean, one of the things that I would see for the ice cream people is it's a really narrow alleyway. There's a sign, but you know, to stand in line, you can get 2, maybe 3 people in the shop.
I'd rather people are going to their store because we're trying to
To-
bring
yeah,
people
okay.
to their store.
All right,
They like to have a limit on how many people can come into the store at a time anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there is, yeah.
So they do a nice, simple little ice cream treat
Right.
for the kids, and,
Yeah.
you know, that's, I tried to get in line 3 times last.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, actually, I couldn't make it last year, because that was the, that
that's
was
right,
when, we drove up to Canada for vacation. My wife promptly broke her ankle within 1 minute of arriving.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, so.
Well, Derek, I think you're hearing a pretty enthusiastic reaction from the rest of us here. I don't see any reason to hold up on planning to participate. We can certainly vote on formally sponsoring it and providing appropriate funding if necessary at our next meeting, which will be August 8th, which is plenty of time.
I would appreciate that, just so we have it on the record. In the meanwhile, I think I'll work with Ken to reach out if we're to Gone Country and potentially have them pre-bill us for 300 of the ice creams. And, because we are planning for 500 kids, but if we do 300, which is what we had roughly last year, and then they can bill extra, at least they've got the money, and we haven't put a little local business in a
Absolutely.
hardship, so.
Okay, sounds good. And I'll mark it on my calendar. I'd like to participate in person. You know, we're gonna be presenting the WRA. I look forward to that.
You
Thank
know,
you.
and I think WRA probably sharing some of that space with some of the other things, and then we can determine what we've gone through. We have some leftovers from last year, and we'll go through and decide, you know, how we wanna approach things, so.
Okay. So if you'd be ready for our 8 August meeting with your formal proposal that we could vote on, that'd be great.
And I think, you know, next year we should plan on the WRA raffling off a cat boat, so.
Okay, I'll buy a
Only half
ticket.
joking, because my thought is in the future, we're gonna get together with the BBC and sponsor a little cat boat regatta,
Yeah.
considering cat boats are made within this community.
Oh, wow, very cool.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay. Derek, anything else?
When the brain works, sometimes there's nothing.
Of course, it's not gonna be called a raffle.
No, so we're gonna do a regatta.
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
With the drawing?
Yeah, the top prize, we'll
A
see
free
what.
cat boat at the
Right.
end?
Yeah, we'll see how we
Can
can
you
work
do
with the
drawings?
local cat boat producer, so.
Oh,
Talk about
We'll
it.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Derek, anything else?
I met with GAF about the Merchants Way plan, deliverable approximately January is what we're looking at for.
Okay.
Ken,
The survey?
yeah, the survey from, what was it, Green Seal that did the existing conditions survey?
Yeah, I gave it to them when they asked for the dumpster
Yeah,
enclosures.
I think they thought they were still waiting on that, so we
All right.
just, yeah.
Give them a copy of it.
Yeah, and that's sort of, those two projects are gonna be lining up basically together, and I think it makes sense to sort of do it, so.
So what is the scope of what GAF is doing? I feel like I'm a little bit behind the curve on that.
So one is about a dumpster sort of, what would you call it, just creating,
Consolidation.
yeah, enclosures and creating spots along the way for the businesses, and maybe not necessarily one behind every single business or something, but having some locations that can, and I think right now, if I'm still understanding, it's basically be 2 dumpsters in each enclosure.
Right.
Long story short for that is to kind of beautify the area, obviously, rolling dumpsters and last storm floating dumpsters aren't the best. Be able to create enclosures, and then the WRA, significant cost, but the WRA would be covering those costs. It could be up to $20,000-$30,000 a unit. And then we try and get those set up because it is on town property where a lot of the businesses are hosting it, and see how we can work with them, because I think this is more about a carrot than a stick. We don't wanna hurt the businesses, but we would like to line things up, so makes it better, because in the long run, a more attractive back end of Merchants Way makes the area stickier, which sounds bad.
Yeah.
That's what you want, it's something to keep people walking around there, because when people are there, they will visit businesses.
And there's other things that GAF is doing back there?
Also additionally looking at changing the parking layout for the back end. We received a grant from that from a few years ago, and actually got that set up with the grant to change the parking and make it, it's partially one way. Make the whole thing one way, because it's including where right now El Mariachi has a license to use that area, bring that area up to the sidewalk level, so it's all one level. And then bring that out as almost a speed table to right to the old train station as well, so it's a connectivity of it, but also will slow people down. And that will also have to change some of the drainage, obviously, it's just the way that is with it being raised. Move to angled parking on there so that you're not losing some parking spots. And again, to the left of it, bringing it out where right now the cars, there's really nothing to stop them from driving directly over the train tracks into the drain. Bringing that area out, including putting some sort of not curbing or bollards or something, so you can't drive through there, but makes it a safe space so you can have tents or something for either call it the shanties or a farmer's market or something, and safe pedestrian walking area.
Nice.
Bike racks.
So, bike racks. And hopefully in the future, boat racks.
Catboat moorings.
Yeah, so.
You just gave me a good idea. We could have a dumpster regatta up there on the.
No, you know what we could have? We could have water fire.
Yep,
We could.
there's some.
Set the dumpsters on fire?
No, I would put them all out in the middle of that bay, and I'd light them all on fire, but I would do it as an event.
Yeah, there's obviously,
Seriously.
there's the water fire in Providence.
Right.
But some of the communities like Wickford down in North Kingstown have mimicked that, and it's attractive. And you're just trying to get people to spend the time, and, that's the whole thing, keep people just strolling the area, being happy, and, we're trying to figure out too, we've got some benches in the area, they get pretty beat up. We'd wanted some other things, but I'm trying not to repeat the mistakes of the past, because we did have some other items there that did not last too long, so, you just try and take in the reality of how far you can go.
So I'm sort of jumping in, but one of the things that I've seen in pictures, in other places are things like the ducklings and the Boston, or cows in some places that are painted purple and all sort, there's sort of artist installations randomly placed throughout an area, and they catch your eye. Why are there a bunch of purple cows, or whatever it is?
We could do swans.
And
Yeah.
we could do swans.
Yeah, I think we talked about
Yeah,
that.
and we did talk about that, but I think that's part of, light a match and just let your brain go crazy, because the swans are there.
Swans are terrifying up close.
Well, it sounds like the GAF deliverable, you said January 2025, that's
Yeah.
going to align nicely, I think, with the Halverson tie and bond study that they're doing right now. They told us yesterday at their technical review update that they anticipate that by December of 2024 they can be done. And they also indicated that late August, early September, they could have an update for the WRA on their planning, their interaction with Mass DOT. Ken has been working closely with Halverson and his DOT contact on arriving at a suitable plan for the pedestrian crossing there. So I think we may have a lot to update on that, hopefully by September. You have anything to add to that, Ken?
No, that we had a good presentation yesterday from Halverson and Ty and Bond on what they had thought were the pluses and minuses of different crossing locations. They would like to have 2 crossings, but the state doesn't want us to have more than 1.
Oh, that's, and I apologize, this is just, I told Bill too that you just send him a little, a hand rendering on the map where you estimate where the crossing would be, just so we can factor something in for the plans.
Yeah. We'll probably have something that more detailed with form fairly soon.
Okay. So I just wanna make sure that the, right hand knows what the left is doing in these projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Derek, thank you.
And also like a cover stake.
Ms. Whiteside, anything, members' comments, new initiatives?
I have members' comments. My daughter visited from DC for a week, and she grew up here. And she loves what's happening down at the Danny Warren end of town. But her mother's daughter said, Merchant's Way is disgusting. There are a bunch of dumpsters. They smell. You have a river and a beautiful landscape out there. Why aren't you using it? Thank you very much. Why don't you encourage people who have shown an interest to maybe buy another building? She had targeted a particular building, the old library building. She said, you know, Mr. Warren should buy that building and make it into a wedding chapel, and that would be a beautiful use of something, and tie the higher street to the lower street. That building is historically important. It was gorgeous. My kids went there
That's pretty.
when it was a library.
Pretty building.
Absolutely spectacular. And she said, you know, there's a building that should be torn down, and there's a building that burned. Why isn't that torn down? So this is somebody who, you know, grew up here, has seen the changes, and there are eyesores. And so I kept saying, well, you know, we have an eye on that, or, you know, that's up to so-and-so. So the things that we are addressing are visible to people who have grown up here.
Well, that's good. It's always good to have a fresh set of eyes on the town also, or in this case, somebody who comes back home after a while and can see the changes or things that haven't changed and maybe should change, that kind of thing. That's good. That's good feedback, Judith. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Corbett.
Yeah, I guess this is where I can talk about the research I've done on the artist shanties. I reached out to the folks in Hyannis, and it is quite an extensive program, and I don't know if you really want to know all I know about it, because it's a lot. They have someone employed. She does more than just the artist shanty program, but she says that she spends about 25 hours a week on it.
Wow.
It's not completely year-round, but it kicks off in May, and it goes steady through to October. And then they have a weekend, November 29 and 30, or whatever that lands on, as a Shop Small Businesses event. And the applications for the 2025 year are going to be opened in October, and those applications are reviewed by a committee so that the quality of what is being offered to the public is of a certain caliber. And they have two settings, the one in Hyannis Center and the other in Bismore Park. And the whole program is funded by the fees they charge the artists, which range anywhere from $85 to $285, depending on the location and the weekend, or the timing. High season is more expensive.
So is that per week,
Yeah.
at the end?
I think that's it. That's what they charge them. But that's a good question. I was looking through it and I didn't see anything but the fee schedule.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like a one-shot fee would not be enough to fund the program. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm just trying to see one of my big things when somebody told us artists would fund something, usually there's a reason they call them starving artists.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we would have upfront costs such as the buildings, all that stuff, which I wouldn't worry about that being covered by the fees, cause you won't recoup that right away. So I'm trying to figure out what makes sense, because I know some of these folks, that's why they become little consortiums, because they can't afford a $3,000 or $5,000.
And they make accommodations for that in the fee schedule.
Yeah.
That it's lower per artist, but slightly of a bump per shanty, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
The whole thing started in 2005, but it's grown incrementally since then. I'm trying to think what else I found out. I did ask her, and I haven't heard back from her yet, if the structures are permanent or temporary, because I think we talked about very temporary structures. So I, don't have an answer for that yet. She suggested I reach out to Orleans, who has a similar program. They're called artist cottages, and they look far more substantial. I haven't heard back from the person there, but I remember, Dan, you mentioned there's a vendor involved. It doesn't look like that's the case in Hyannis. I think she works through the cultural district that they have there. But there is, it looks like, a vendor involved in Orleans, because, and I downloaded, or I didn't download, I printed out.
Orleans is a little more highfalutin, they call it the art cottages.
And then those look pretty permanent. And this is their application. It's multiple, 7 pages long. But it's, there is an entity called Lulu LLC that's on all of the interactions with, public interactions with this program for the music, the food, and the artists. So I'm thinking maybe that's a vendor. And I did reach out to the email address that was associated with all of this, and I haven't heard back from them yet. So, for better or for worse, that's what I found out. And I don't know where the committee wants to go from here.
I forgot one comment my daughter made. Do not call them shanties in Wareham. It's a derogatory term. And so I'm glad that somebody else calls them cottages. It just, again, this is word sensitivity. I like it in someplace else, but a shanty here is somebody's house, actually.
Artist shed's perfect.
I like that better.
Yeah.
Shack?
Shed.
Oh, shed. How about not a dumpster?
So the logistics involved were interesting to me, and something I think we would need to consider. That it takes management and administration. And the vetting of the vendors, I think, is a good idea, because you do want to have a certain quality of materials being offered.
Depending on, and I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt. so
go ahead.
That's what I'm just thinking, depending on the location, could these potentially be a holiday market as well, like what you saw in the Seaport? I mean, obviously we couldn't drive to that, but we took the kids to that Seaport outdoor market, and you have the Christmas markets in Germany and things like that. That's what it always reminded me of. You had the hot chocolate, some food, and a bunch of different things that people could shop for. And that's some of the neat stuff.
We had the Main Street Fair yesterday in Falmouth, and it's a very popular venue, and you can have an awful lot of different artists. And there's a real range of quality and content. And it's not all artistic, though. There are some people selling T-shirts as well, too.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting idea. When you think about it, I go back and forth across the Bourne Bridge a couple of times every day. And if I'm one of those people coming from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and I don't want to fight the traffic because I can see it's backed up 5 miles, I'll stop at an artist cottage in Wareham and check it out and spend a couple of hours there and get some ice cream and
You cross that bridge twice a day?
at least twice a day, yeah. Yeah. I'm getting good at timing it.
Yeah, I bet. And
But that's an advantage we have. It is better before the bridges, if you want to go back to that slogan. We have that advantage. There are people that will stop here and kill a couple of hours if there's something to do.
How about they stay a couple of days?
Even better.
Well, that's why we're thinking, I'd like to have some of the areas near, charging stations that we're looking for the town, as well you're charging your electric vehicle.
Another great thing, yeah, that could attract people to the artist cottage, if there are some
Shed.
electric
Yeah.
charging
Shed.
stations, yeah, shed, artist shed.
And actually, Derek, to your very smart question, I have on the application for the Orleans artist cottages, so the figures I quoted must have been per week, because in Orleans, it's an application fee of $25 waived for returning artists, but $250 a week per cottage.
Okay.
That is something you can fund something from.
Right.
I would think you'd need startup money to get it going. But, and then fall season weeks, Wednesday through Sunday, a cottage is $125 a week. And fall season weekends, Saturday, Sunday only, it's $75. And I could see us having more than just artists, you know, to what both of these people are doing. It's more than just artist stuff. It's food and music as well.
Well, it's everything that falls under culture, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
you
go ahead.
mentioned it would take some management.
Yeah.
When I looked into the farmers markets that they have in Bourne Wednesday afternoons during the summer, they contract that out. They have a management company that runs it, does all that, takes the applications, does the vetting, collects the money, and then apparently gives some portion of the money to the town and keeps some of it as their remuneration. So that might be one way to consider. That might be the business model we want to look at, if it works for New Orleans.
So this sort of leads into, I don't mean to interrupt, but in terms of the things that you guys have really been talking about, a new business association for downtown, I think is really important to that effort and can be even a selling point for that effort.
If Sarah's done with her update on the artist
I am.
shed, shanty,
I am, but I do
cottages.
have just a quick other things, and that was one of them. But just to quickly, while I have the floor, Derek, last meeting we had, we talked about the bike racks. Where does that stand at the moment?
Me on vacation, Dave not on vacation, so.
Okay.
Just are waiting on it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's, we're gonna literally send somebody out, cause we all mentally say, don't we have a spot there, don't we have this
Yeah,
one
no.
there? Oh no, we moved that one over there, so.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up one more time.
No, I appreciate it,
Yeah.
because.
Can we put you sort of in charge of continuing your homework on this?
Yeah, just tell me what you want my homework to be.
Well, I think in conjunction with this possible new business association, that it informs that group how this would be a selling point and a glom, a magnet for revitalization. I don't know. You know,
So you want to talk about the meeting we had yesterday?
Sure. And actually, to kind of elaborate on what you just said, Judith, I think as we begin to, as a plan begins to crystallize, or a potential plan, based on the research that Sarah's doing into these other towns that have already done this, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We could probably start in a very modest way. Even before Gaff Engineering is done, even before Halverson is done, we could probably get something pretty modest going, but something that would allow us to build to the future into something even more substantial.
who's we?
We, the WRA, the town, the WBA, Wareham Business Association, and I'll jump to that now. Sarah reached out to Joe Sorrow and John Mello, two business investors here in town. Joe agreed to meet with us yesterday, and we met at the Bluefoot Cafe, had some delicious chai lattes, and we couldn't use Sarah's office because somebody was using it, so we had to move to another office there at
I've
the
been
Bluefoot.
there every day this week.
Yeah, but isn't it nice?
It is. I'm going there this afternoon.
But we had a great meeting. It was a fun meeting Joe. I'd never met him before. Very energetic guy, obviously a very savvy businessman. He has 6 restaurants and bars in various locations within 20 miles of here and here. Probably the most well-known being the Gateway Tavern and what used to be Gilda's Red Rooster, right there on the town line with Marion. Joe has proven to be a very good landlord, as well as just a property owner on Main Street in the urban renewal planning area for Wareham Village. We know that because I've spoken with 2 of his tenants. Kendall Peabody, the owner of the Lucky Goat Brewery, and Katie Gallagher, the owner of the Bluefoot Cafe, who sang his praises and said he was just terrific to work with and really interested in fixing up that property and making it attractive and making it successful. And we've seen that. We've just seen that over the last couple of years. So I enjoyed talking to Joe. Sarah and I took advantage of the opportunity to pick his brain and bounce off him the idea of a business association. We pointed out to him that there's a need for that right now. I think he agreed, would you say, Sarah?
He was very supportive.
He's very supportive, wants to be part of it. He was a little bit cautious and said that, he's a busy guy. He can't put lots of time into it, but he's willing to help participate and get it up and running. After that meeting, I went and spoke with Kendall Peabody. Kendall, who is a CPA, also a good businessman, is anxious to be in on the ground floor in establishing a Wareham Business Association. In fact, he reminded me that he came up with the name. He said, if we're going to do something like that, we should call it the Wareham Business Association. And he wants to host the first meeting of a core group of business people, property owners, who would get this business association up and running.
Isn't there, what's the name?
WVA.
No, what's the name of the Wareham Business Association that holds clam bakes?
No, that's the Community Associates.
Okay, Wareham Community Associates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked it up on the Secretary of State's website. There is no Wareham Business Association
Okay,
yet.
Community Associates.
So,
Yeah, it's not even Community Associates, it's Community Associates is the clam bake one, and Wareham Village
Yeah,
Association.
I'm not worried about the WVA.
Yeah.
I was worried about the.
No,
other
it's,
one,
yeah,
Association.
Community Associates.
I think we've served as sort of the instigator of getting people thinking about it, the businessmen thinking about it. I think my reaction to the way Joe reacted to us, I think, was that he was pleased to see that there's support from officials in the town. I think he was very pleased to see a select person at our little session. And that's probably very encouraging to the businessmen, that they can have that kind of access and potentially, as an association, have some influence over the future planning for what would happen in Wareham Village, Onset Village, Wareham at large. So I think we did the right thing by lighting the spark. And Kendall has indicated to me that he's willing to host that first meeting. I told him when Joe said he was available. And I think it'd be very important if, Sarah, if you could be at that meeting, and I know you're gonna be gone for a little while. What are the dates again that you're gone?
Right now, it's from this coming Sunday, which I believe is the 14th, and we're coming back late on Monday, the 22nd.
Okay. So anytime after the 22nd would be a good time to have that meeting,
Yeah,
okay?
not the 23rd, though, because we have a select board meeting on the
Okay.
23rd.
Okay. Traveling, got it. So I guess that's how I would leave the update on that issue, and that we had a good meeting, and it looks like it's incrementally getting a little bit of momentum. Anything else, Sarah, to add?
Nope. Well, I guess just randomly, we did have some people that we've targeted to approach to be part of the core kickoff group. So that would be Katie Gallagher is her last name?
Right,
You know,
yes.
Kendall Peabody, Katie Gallagher, and then Jillian Morton. Actually, Joe Sorrow knows her, and she just has struck me. I've never actually met her, but I do watch the planning board, and she has just struck me as somebody who is got a lot going for her, just a lot of energy. She's been very supportive of the urban renewal plan, and I just think she could be an interesting person to bring in this group, and you kind of get away from just that, one end of Main Street. And obviously, I think we're gonna be talking to Danny Warren
Good point.
as well.
And she knows an
And
awful
the-
lot of property owners
Yeah,
on Main Street.
The
Yeah.
Scarlet Rose people would probably be a good,
That's a good
Okay.
point. Connie and Mike?
okay.
Okay. Let's see, anything else, Sarah?
do you, excuse me, do you still have the whiteboard with all the green stickies of, remember when we did the Discover Wareham thing?
Showcase Wareham.
Showcase Wareham, do you still have the whiteboard with the green stickies, what people wanted to see downtown? Or do you have a summary of that?
I have a picture of it and,
So that's part of what you bring to this first meeting, because
Yeah.
we already have had an opportunity to ask people, and it was not just business people who came, but that board had a lot of good ideas on it,
Mm-hmm.
I
It
think.
did,
That's
it
a great
did, yeah.
idea. I like that a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's also be interesting to get some of the business owners, we know it's tough for them, but for lack of a better term, some skin in the game, because we've had before, we've offered grants and we've offered things, and it's been to redo their facades, to do those, and it was, well, no, we'd have to pay that back, we can't do that, it can't be the town doing everything for them. And that's what we faced a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And every time we've come up with things, it's been, that's nice, but we can't afford it, that's nice. And I certainly understand that more than anyone, but it's, we don't want people getting this. We just need to realize, every time we say something, people think it's gospel. If we say, hey, we wanna do this, or we're thinking about the town's doing that, it's gonna get done, why haven't you done that? So just, unintended overpromising. So it's just the thing to be careful of.
Yeah.
So there are funding sources available to WBA, which include the Cultural Council and the Community Events
And us,
Committee.
potentially.
Committee.
We could help.
Because community events is supposed to fund startup stuff. Well, that's a definition right there, so
Mhm.
I would pursue that kind of stuff too.
Okay.
Have I given her enough stuff to keep her busy yet, Derek?
I see some things too.
Keeping you busy.
I'm seeing things too, we could keep an intern busy
Yeah.
if we had one.
you get one soon.
Ready?
Let's see, so Sarah, anything else? That's
No.
quite a bit.
That's it.
All right, I don't have anything to add. I think we've already covered everything else. Correspondence, Ken, anything else in correspondence? I signed
No.
something for Patty Neal a little while
Did
ago.
you sign that?
I did,
Okay,
it's all taken care of.
great.
Okay, no correspondence. Approved prior minutes, I printed out the minutes.
And there's a scrivener's error on the 13th. If you turn to the last page, the vote says 400, but there were 5 people present, so obviously the scribe wasn't doing his or her job.
400.
There were
Which-
5
which
people present.
page?
The last page on June 13th.
Oh, the two items there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Adjournment. I wonder how that vote really went. Okay, 500.
Both of those are 500.
As I recollect.
Yeah. So,
We can fix that.
yeah, scriven, Ken, you have it in Word, right?
I have the latest version of Word, I haven't sent it to Ken. I'll send that to Ken.
Okay, so if you just change it before you send it to him for posting.
Okay, will do.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you for catching that. That's the June 13th, and we have June 27th. And I gave you a copy also, since we reference it in the minutes. Good job, Judy. These were very thorough. The WRA approved edits to the draft that we made on June 27th. And I will mention one thing too, we do say shanties in here somewhere. Yeah, we say resilient artist shanties. So if that's not a good word and we want to rethink that before we give it to Emily to change, we could change that now.
Well, you can't change it on this document because this is a document that we use, yeah, so
Right.
your suggestion to her via Ken would be,
Use something else,
Yeah.
cottages or
yeah,
sheds.
cottage or sheds or something like that, yeah.
I like cottages, that sounds cool. Better than sheds. Better than shanty. All right. Ken, did you get that?
Yes, it did.
Okay, do we have any discussion
Oh,
on the?
wait. Who made the motion to accept and second and all that other good stuff?
I was just asking if there was any more discussion before we
Oh,
entertain a
sorry.
motion. Do we have any more discussion?
Well, I just really, I'm not as good at multitasking as you guys. I really haven't had a chance to look at these at all. But,
Do you want a few minutes? We can-
you know, is there any way we could get them earlier, ahead of the next meeting?
I could have sent them out at 12:03 this morning when I
Okay.
finished, when I finished editing Judas.
Yeah, obviously this is the way you guys do business, and I'll just have to get used to it, so.
No, you're right. I should get them out
Yeah,
sooner.
because he gets them the day after, or,
I do, I get them right away from Judy.
yeah, so he
Usually a day,
gets the
no more than a
drafts.
day later.
Yeah, because when I was with the library board of
Yeah.
trustees as the clerk, I would
mean,
send
this
them
is-
out,
It's too much to
I would
read.
send them out
Yeah.
days ahead of time so that everybody had a chance to take a look, but I know that you're
I can
busy.
get those out sooner.
Okay, I would really appreciate that. I mean, I will vote along, but I don't really know that I'm.
But if we can we can wait until August 8th if
Especially if there's
if you'd rather.
changes or something.
No, you need to get these approved.
Yeah, so we will get them approved.
Under the OML, you need to get them.
Okay,
Okay.
so you did some speed reading,
Yes, I certainly did,
okay?
and I find them in good order.
Then I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for our meetings on June 13th and June 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Sarah Coe, okay, Ken Buckland,
With the
and
Scrivener's error.
Yeah, as amended.
with the Scrivener's error as amended. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 500, the minutes are approved. Thank you, and Ken, I'll get the updated one with the Scrivener's error corrected to you. And
Thank you.
that's the last thing I have on the agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to bring up before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Okay. Do I,
I'm just curious, really general, but what makes the redevelopment authority? Because when I read it at face value and see redevelopment, I feel like it's kind of insinuated that there's a period of decline. Like Wareham to me is developed, so why redevelopment authority and not just development authority?
So,
probably has something to do
Everybody
with
jump in.
Yeah.
Massachusetts law.
Chapter 121B of the Massachusetts general laws we were operating under. And we were set up by the state legislature as a redevelopment authority. And it's a term that's used to define an entity that is somewhat separate from the rest of the town operations and is responsible for redevelopment. And that's when you actually, instead of development, it's taking what you have and fixing it up again, and revitalizing it, and renewing it. So it's also called urban renewal as well, too.
so they sponsored a rezoning of the downtown from from essentially Mr. Warren's place through Tremont Nail. And that was passed. It's called WV1R, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, and in that area, which is specifically outlined, the authority would have the ability to, if it needed to, take properties that were derelict or that they wanted to improve so that the overall vision of downtown is not one of a dying Main Street.
Is there and I think I know the answer to this, is there an office or a group designated for economic development?
This is the subsequent iteration of CETA the old CETA, do you remember CEDA?
Yeah, I do. But is that, are you saying that this is us?
No,
Yeah.
because it's
We took over the
different, yeah.
responsibilities and resources as well.
The WRA did?
Yeah, the WRA did, we
Okay.
superseded, yeah.
CETA, people used to think that CETA had the CDBG grant, but no, the select board now, then Board of Selectmen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brain work.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
had actually
community
allowed them
economic
to
development.
manage the grant, and they used some funds out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it falls to the town administrator, although the select board still has to vote on certain things that we've seen from. And we use COG Inc. to do it, so we're not hiring employees, and they're the management of it. But that's where CETA really operated beforehand. Their main thing became managing that grant, and that's great, but this is what we need, right? Redevelopment rather than grant management.
But in terms of plain old economic development, I was thinking the planning office is the one that handles looking for new businesses to come into town.
Planning and community development happens through that's the planning and community development officer.
Okay.
Office, yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I think that Ken should always make the motions to adjourn. I just do. Kind of like Alan always used to make them. Not that you're like Alan, but, you know, there ought to be a standard.
Yeah.
What's your time?
We'll
So I
make
think
it
there should be
tradition.
a,
Alan, apparently.
no, I'm just saying, there ought to be a standard.
I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 And
And,
you can't discuss adjournment, motions to
It's
adjourn.
not
Oh, you cannot.
debatable.
Not
No, it's
debatable.
not
that's
debatable?
the
It's
word.
not debatable.
Yep.
oh, I wish I'd known that sooner. Okay, we are adjourned at 10:14 a.m.